Welcome back to End Times Prophecy for the 1 p.m. report. North Korea threatens China. Can you believe this one? North Korea has announced the failed missile launch was an effort to warn not just the U.S. and Japan, but China as well. North Korea is sending a message to China as well as the U.S. and Japan with its latest round of failed missile launches, the top House Republican on military issues said Sunday. Well, it seems that the little fat man, a little fat boy in a man's suit, Kim Jong-un, has realized that his missiles were a failure because of cyber attacks. It would seem so. The message was, "We are strong and we can hurt you." That's what the message was from North Korea. That's what they are trying to send, especially to us, but also Japan and South Korea. Armed Services Committee Chairman Mac Thornberry, Republican of Texas, told Fox News Sunday. Yes, we can hurt you. We can kill a couple people, but the rest of the nations can wipe out China in North Korea in a matter of seconds. It's amazing. Maybe they're trying to send a message to China as well, as they are not as dependent on China as some of us think, Thornberry added. Oh, yes, they are. Attorney General Jeff Sessions shocks liberals with this comment. No person can come into U.S. illegally and not expect to be deported. Where did this come from? Barry Soetoro. Exactly. And I already showed that one. This is part one, is all about immigration sanctuary cities. So I'm not going to show it again. North Korea missile launch failed bigly with President Trump. According to a top Trump advisor, the president was not distressed by the North Korean failed missile launch. Deputy National Security Advisor K.T. McFarland on Sunday said President Trump was not distressed by North Korea's failed test launch of a missile, despite the U.S. military positioning itself in the days before the test. Quote, "It's not a surprise. Even in the last year, President Kim of North Korea launched over 30 missiles. Most of them have failed," McFarland told Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace when asked if he was distressed. And again, I don't know if the U.S. had anything to do about cyber attack on Kim Jong-un's latest failure. We know that he's failed so many. We don't know for sure at all. And I don't think we ever will know until maybe after the war. As it says Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace when asked if he was distressed. "We were expecting something particularly surrounding the birthday of his grandfather, so it wasn't a surprise." McFarland, who traveled to Mar-a-Lago with Trump for the weekend, said she briefed the commander-in-chief on the failed test Saturday evening. And breaking news, things just got a whole lot worse in the hunt for the Facebook Live killer. Police are now saying the Facebook Live killer could be in a different state. Not good. And this came in as 12:02 a.m. last night. In the wee hours of the morning, police say Steve Stevens could be in other states. Residents in Pennsylvania, New York, Indiana, and Michigan should be on alert. And Vice President Pence just posted photos from North Korea border. Let him know who's boss, Pence. Proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with U.S. and South Korean troops at DMZ. Today I reaffirmed that under President of the United States Trump, our resolve is undeterred. Moving on. 11 people suffer burns from mystery noxious substance. At least 11 people have suffered burns from a suspected noxious substance at a bar in East London, police say. From the BBC in UK. Let's take a look at this. See what we got going. Hackney nightclub acid attack leaves at least 12 injured. Noxious substance, that's acid. That sounds like Islamic attack. Hundreds of people were forced to leave the club in the early hours. Hundreds of revelers. Here we go. Nightclubs again. Stay away from the nightclubs, brothers and sisters. All of you are listening to me, even if you are not religious, which I never use that word. It's called believers in God and Christ Jesus. Officers believe a man threw acid, Islamic, at two men after a dispute between two groups inside the venue. Two men in their 20s remain in serious but stable condition in hospital. Destroyed for life in their face. 10 other people who were treated for minor injuries, the Metropolitan Police said. A London Fire Brigade spokesperson said, the only information that we have is that it was an unknown corrosive substance thrown within the nightclub. It was identified by a pH paper test as a strong acidic substance. It is understood about 600 people were at an event in the club. Officers said 10 people were taken to the hospital by ambulance, while further 2 sought treatment at A&E. They said no arrests had been made and officers were continuing to investigate. The police added there was no evidence to suggest the attack was gang-related. It is understood about 600 people were attending at an event at a Mango nightclub. Stay out of those nightclubs. A woman who lives in a block of flats overlooking the nightclub described a scene of confusion as crowds were moved up the street away from the venue. If you got Islam in a state and you were going to a nightclubs, they go there, they get drunk, the devil's within them. What do you think they're going to do if they argue with you at all? They're going to commit something horrific. The tenant who asked not to be named said, it happened so fast. They rushed people out. I thought it was stabbing because all I heard was move, move, move. She added the security were telling the crowd to go down that way. People on this side were waiting to go home, but they couldn't go home because the road was closed. People were confused. It's going to get a lot worse, folks, because there is much wickedness in the land. Pope makes a special request during Easter Mass. We re-crucify Jesus over and over. From the pedophile Pope who dresses up as if he was righteous, but in fact, before God, he wears a garment that's pitch black. During his Easter Mass sermon, though, Pope Francis asked for the horror and death to end in Syria that I've created. But don't tell anyone. I want it to continue. Because we are the ones who created Islam.
In questi tempi, in modo particolare.
All right, we don't need to hear. Oh, okay.
Especially in these days, may he sustain the efforts of all those actively engaged in bringing comfort and relief to the civil population in Syria. Pray to a war that continues to sow horror.
There's the pedophile Pope's another, just one of many thousands of idol worship he's got right there. I forgot what you call it, a trance or something like that. National Security Advisor gives possible hint about upcoming action in North Korea. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster says things are coming to a head with North Korea. The problem of North Korea's nuclear threat is coming to a head. President Donald Trump's National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster, said Sunday following the country's failed missile test. That's the consensus of Mr. Trump, allies in the region like Japan and South Korea, and Chinese leaders, McMaster said on ABC's This Week. McMaster didn't directly answer when asked whether military options are still on the table, saying that all our options on the table are undergoing refinement and further development. Later, McMaster said it's time for us to undertake all actions we can, short of a military option, to try to resolve this peacefully. McMaster emphasized that while Mr. Trump doesn't like to advertise his actions abroad in advance, Mr. Trump's tweets critical of North Korea should make it clear that the U.S. won't tolerate North Korean aggression, and Mr. Trump will take action that is in the best interest of the American people. Of course. Cyrus, from Crap Broadcasting Station.
President Trump's national security advisor says the U.S. and China are working on a range of options in response to North Korea's failed missile launch early Sunday local time. Vice President Mike Pence in South Korea on this Easter Sunday called the defiant misfire a provocation. He told U.S. troops it was a reminder of the risks they face on the Korean peninsula. More now from Ben Tracy in the North Korean capital, Pyongyang.
North Korea has successfully launched at least 5 ballistic missiles this year, including 4 of them at once back in March. But their latest attempt...
You notice they like to fire 4 at once? Now, just think about this for a second. I've looked at that so many times. All it is trying to impress you. That's all it is. Multiple failed launches, and yet they try to fire 4 all at once to impress you, scare you. It's all a joke. It's just to scare you.
Was a failure. On Sunday morning, what the U.S. believes was a medium-range ballistic missile launched from the country's submarine base near Shinpo exploded about 5 seconds after it left the ground. It's an embarrassing failure for North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, who staged a massive military parade Saturday. It was intended to show strength, just as a U.S. naval strike group nears the Korean peninsula, sent there by President Trump to dissuade the North from launching more missiles and conducting more nuclear tests. Today, Vice President Mike Pence landed in South Korea for a 10-day tour of Asia to reassure U.S. allies.
Under President Trump's leadership, our resolve has never been stronger. Our commitment to this historic alliance with the courageous people of South Korea has never been stronger. And with your help and with God's help, freedom will ever prevail on this peninsula.
In Pyongyang, our government-guided tour of the North Korean capital continued with barely any mention of the missile failure.
But they have brought us to a water park, and we're apparently also going to a flower show. So there's a lot of lilies.
Many people in North Korea will never know what happened, as missile failures usually are not acknowledged by the government.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't believe it.
You can't believe it?
Well, I will watch on TV and ask later.
Do you think it'll be on TV later?
I don't think it is true.
Launching a missile is less provocative than had North Korea conducted another nuclear test. A White House official says had they done that, the U.S. would have taken, quote, other actions. Elaine?
Ben Tracy in Pyongyang, North Korea for us. Ben, thank you.
So there you go. Thank you for listening. Hope to see you at the next hour. May the Lord bless you today. Keep safe. And stay out of bars and nightclubs.
If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin